The for sale sign. It was a quiet Saturday morning when I noticed something strange near my dock. My waterfront home sat on the edge of the lake, a peaceful escape from the city. But as I stepped onto my porch with my coffee, my heart froze. A giant red and white for sale sign stood at the end of my driveway. I frowned. I hadn't listed my property for sale. In fact, I had no plans of moving out of the home my late father built with his own hands. As I walked toward the sign, a familiar voice pierced the air. "Good morning, neighbor." It was Karen, the head of the homeowners association. She strutted toward me, wearing her signature sunglasses, clipboard in hand, and that smug smile she always wore when trouble was brewing. "Morning, Karen," I said slowly. "Any idea why there's a for sale sign on my property?" "Oh, that," she said with a dismissive wave. "You see, the HOA board decided your property would make an excellent location for our new lakeside community center. So we've put it on the market." My jaw dropped. "You what?" She smirked. "It's for the good of the neighborhood. You'll get a fair price, eventually." I clenched my fists, trying to keep my cool. "You don't have the authority to sell private property." Karen adjusted her sunglasses. "Actually, your membership agreement allows the HOA to take certain actions if a property isn't in compliance. You've got too many boats, a non-approved dock extension, and that shed near the fence? Total violations. That's absurd. Those were approved years ago." "Well, the board decided otherwise," she said sweetly. "I already have a buyer lined up. You should thank me for getting things moving." I stared at her, trying to process the insanity of her words. "Karen, if you touch 1 inch of my property, You'll what?" She interrupted, tilting her head. "Complain? Good luck. I have every document signed and sealed." She turned and walked off, heels crunching on the gravel, leaving me fuming on the driveway. That night, I called my cousin Alex. He was a corporate lawyer in Chicago, sharp as a blade and not one to back down from a fight. When I told him what happened, there was a long pause on the phone. "She tried to sell your house?" Alex repeated slowly. "Yep, without my consent." He exhaled. "Don't sign anything, don't touch anything, and don't let her intimidate you. I'll be there by Monday." "Alex, you don't have to." "I'm not doing it for you," he cut in. "I'm doing it because people like her think they're above the law. Let's remind her who really is." As I hung up the phone, I looked out at the lake shimmering under the moonlight. The calm before the storm. Karen had just declared war, and she had no idea who she was up against. The legal storm begins. By Monday morning, Karen was already strutting around my driveway again, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other, talking loudly to someone about closing dates and contract signatures. She didn't even notice me watching her from the porch until Alex's black SUV pulled into the gravel drive. He stepped out in a tailored gray suit, sunglasses on, calm but clearly ready for business. Karen's smug expression faltered for the first time. "And you are?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. Alex flashed a confident grin. "Alex Mercer, attorney at law, my cousin's legal representative." Karen blinked. "Legal representative? This is an HOA matter, not a attempting to sell private property without the owner's consent." Alex interrupted, his tone sharp as glass. "Isn't an HOA matter. It's fraud." Karen stiffened. "Now hold on." "No, you hold on," Alex said, stepping closer. "You had a for sale sign posted, contacted a buyer, and even discussed closing terms, all without any written consent from the owner. Do you know what that's called in legal terms?" Karen hesitated, clutching her clipboard. "Community management. Try criminal misrepresentation," Alex said, his voice low and calm. "And that's before we get to civil damages." I tried to hold back a grin. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. "Now," Alex continued, flipping open his briefcase, "we'll need copies of every violation notice you've cited against my client. I'll also require HOA meeting minutes, proof of vote for any property decisions, and the names of the supposed buyers you've contacted." Karen stammered. I'll have to talk to the board first." "Perfect," Alex said smoothly. "Tell them to expect a cease and desist order by tomorrow morning. And if that for sale sign isn't gone in the next hour, we'll add harassment to the list." Karen's face flushed red as she spun on her heel and stormed off, muttering something about ungrateful neighbors. Once she was gone, Alex turned to me and smirked. "You weren't kidding. She's a real piece of work." "You have no idea," I said. "She's been terrorizing the neighborhood for years. HOA fines, inspections, bogus violations. It's her personal empire. Alex nodded. Then it's time we dismantle that empire, one policy at a time. He spent the rest of the afternoon reviewing my paperwork, HOA letters, and old property documents. His eyes lit up when he found an old approval letter from 15 years ago, signed by a former HOA president, officially granting permission for my dock and storage shed. Well, look at that, Alex said, holding up the letter. Everything she's claiming is a violation was legally approved. Think she'll back off now? I asked. He smiled. Oh, she'll try something else. People like her always do. But we'll be ready. As the sun dipped below the lake, I watched Karen pacing on her porch across the street. But neither of us realized she was about to make her boldest move yet. Karen strikes back. By midweek, things in the neighborhood had gone from tense to explosive. The for sale sign was gone, but Karen wasn't. Every morning, she stalked around with her clipboard, snapping photos of my lawn, dock, and even my mailbox. She'd stop and glare at my house like she was daring me to make a move. That Thursday, Alex was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee and reading through HOA bylaws when a loud bang echoed outside. I rushed out to find a city inspector standing beside my fence. Karen right next to him. What's this? I asked, folding my arms. Karen smiled sweetly. Routine inspection. Turns out your dock and shed might violate county zoning now. We're just ensuring everything's compliant. The inspector shrugged awkwardly. Ma'am called this in as a formal complaint. Alex stepped out onto the porch, calm but ice cold. Funny timing, considering we just sent your HOA a legal notice yesterday. Karen's smile didn't waver. Oh, I'm just following procedure. If your cousin's property isn't compliant, it could still be subject to removal. Alex approached slowly, flipping through his file. Actually, this letter. He handed the inspector a copy. Confirms county approval for both structures. Dated and notarized. Any further inspections without cause could be considered harassment under Municipal Code 9.04. The inspector's expression shifted. Looks legit, he said, handing the paper back. Sorry for the trouble, sir. He turned to Karen. Ma'am, please don't file baseless complaints again. Karen's fake smile cracked for just a second. Baseless? I'm trying to uphold standards. But the inspector was already walking away. Alex looked at her, deadpan. You just made it worse for yourself. She huffed, turned sharply, and stormed off toward her car. Later that evening, Alex reviewed the HOA's recent budget reports. His expression darkened. She's not just bossy. She's been using HOA funds for personal expenses. Look, community landscaping, payments going to her husband's company, travel reimbursements with no receipts, and an $8,000 community outreach charge that went straight to her personal account. I blinked. You're kidding. Nope, he said. She's knee-deep in misuse of funds. If we expose this, she won't just lose her position. She could face charges. The next morning, we printed everything, financial records, photos, correspondence. Alex prepared a full legal packet for the county compliance office. At noon, Karen appeared again, furious, red-faced, waving a letter. You think you can threaten me with your fancy papers? The board stands with me. Alex stood from his chair. Then you and the board can explain this to the county auditor. I've already sent the files. Karen froze. Her face drained of color. You. She glared at us, eyes full of rage. You'll regret this. As she stormed away, I knew this wasn't over. Karen had just been cornered. And desperate people do dangerous things. The HOA showdown. The next HOA meeting was held on a gray Saturday afternoon in the community hall, a building Karen had proudly claimed as her domain. The place was packed. Word had spread fast about the investigation Alex had triggered. Every homeowner in the neighborhood wanted to see what would happen next. Karen sat at the front of the room, chin high, a forced smile plastered on her face. The rest of the board members looked uneasy, whispering among themselves. Alex and I took seats in the front row, a thick folder resting in his lap. Karen tapped her gavel. Let's begin. First order of business. Our community integrity is under attack by baseless accusations. Alex stood up. Correction. It's under attack by your actions, Miss Karen. The room went silent. Karen's eyes narrowed. You have no authority to speak here. I represent a homeowner being harassed and defrauded by this HOA. Alex said firmly. And as of this morning, I also represent several other residents who've come forward with complaints. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Several neighbors nodded, arms crossed, glaring at Karen. Alex opened the folder. Let's start with the misuse of funds. According to these records, obtained through legal disclosure, you approved payments from HOA accounts to a business owned by your husband. That's a direct conflict of interest under state law. Karen's voice trembled. That's ridiculous. Those were legitimate landscaping contracts. Then explain the $8,000 community outreach expense deposited into your personal checking account. Gasps filled the room. Karen's face went pale. Those were reimbursements. Alex leaned in. Reimbursements for what? Personal vacations? Designer handbags? The room erupted. People shouted, demanded answers, some recording with their phones. One of the board members finally stood up. I didn't sign off on any of those payments. Karen, did you forge our votes? Karen's composure shattered. You don't understand. I built this community. You all wouldn't have these homes if it weren't for me. That doesn't give you the right to abuse power, I said from the front row. Alex stepped forward. The county investigator will handle the rest. But for now, I'm filing a motion to have Karen suspended from all HOA duties effective immediately. The crowd burst into applause. The board members quickly voted, unanimously, to remove her. Karen's gavel slipped from her hand and hit the table with a dull thud. This isn't over, she hissed. You think you've won? You've ruined everything. Alex smiled faintly. No, Karen. We just set things right. As she stormed out, the tension lifted like a fog clearing after. Later, as the sun dipped below the lake, Alex and I stood on the dock, watching the reflection of the water shimmer peacefully again. Think she'll come back? I asked. Alex grinned. Maybe. But next time, she'll know not to mess with family. The lake was quiet again, finally ours, finally free.